Hello students! This week we are learning about the elimination method, which can be kind of tricky, so I wanted to help you out in person so that you don't have to try to figure it all out just by reading. So I am going to go over one of the examples that I included in my PowerPoint, and then I'm also going to show you two new examples that we can do together, just like we would do if we were in class. So right here, we're going to start out with just reviewing our vocabulary words from last week and the week before. We have been talking about systems a lot, and that is a group of things that work together. And in this case, it's going to be our group of things is going to be two lines, and they are working together to find the answer to both of the lines. Okay, so that is going to be the point where they cross. Okay, you can use substitution in a lot of cases, but sometimes it's easier to just use elimination. And I'm going to show you some of those problems because it's just easiest if we can get one of our variables to go away completely. And then if we have one variable, then we can solve our problem. So we are starting with lesson 6.3, systems of solving systems using elimination. And we started this on the 27th. So here are our objectives. We will be able to solve systems of equations by using the elimination method. And our language objective, we will be able to write and follow the steps for how to use the elimination method. Okay, so we come down here. These are our new vocabulary words for this week. There's only one of them. It's elimination, which is to cause something to go away. Bye-bye. And this is super helpful because if it just goes away or it becomes zero, then we don't have to worry about it anymore. Yay! So you guys can see this example right here. We have 3y minus 3y. And if we subtract that, that goes to 0, okay? This other part right here with the 2x and the 1x, there's an invisible 1 right there. We need to add that as well, so that becomes 3x. And then we just add these last ones, okay? The 15 and the 3, and we get 18, okay? And now we have a simple equation with 3x equals 18, which we could go ahead and solve. 3 times what number equals 18? And we know that is 6, okay? So it becomes a lot simpler if we can get something to go away, okay? And then there's just a little question. What excuses stand in your way? How can you eliminate them? So this is another way that word is used in life. People might talk about eliminating their obstacles or eliminating things that are getting in their way for why they can't reach their goals. Okay, that's a good thing to eliminate. So there are 3 ways to solve systems. We have been doing these. We've already done graphing. Okay, if you can graph them, you can see where the 2 lines cross, like we said, and that crossing point is your answer. There is also substitution, where you put something in place of something else. And then elimination, this is what we're going to learn today. So you had 3 things that you need to do this week. First, you needed to look at the pictures in all of those slides that I sent you and take notes. So hopefully you have had a chance to look at those already. This is one of the examples that I want us to look at together. So we have our 2 different lines right here. And our first step is to write the equation so that the like terms are lined up. So we can only put them together if they're both x's or if they're both y's or if they're both just a number. We can put those together. Okay, so we have to line these up. Okay, so we did that. All we did from this equation up here was we moved the 2y to the left side of the equal sign and it had to become negative. Okay, but everything else, we kept it exactly the same. Oh, this should be 11 right here. That's a mistake I have. That's 11. Okay, so use subtraction to eliminate the 5x. So right here we see we have 5x and another 5x. We don't want to add them, okay? We could either add or we could subtract. We don't want to add them because then we would get 10x, and that's not going to help us. So instead we're going to subtract. But to subtract, we also have to subtract this negative 2y, and we have to subtract 1, okay? So right over here, I have it negative 5x plus 2y. See how this negative and another negative, it becomes positive, and then our positive 1 became a negative 1. Okay, so we distributed that negative to all of them. Okay. So now we go ahead and we're going to, in this case, even though we said we're subtracting, now we're technically adding. Okay, so I guess you can always think of it as adding if you would like, or if you're able to, just go ahead and put a negative, negative changes to positive, and negative if you want to think of it as subtracting. Okay, so we have the 3 and the 2, that becomes 5y, and then 11 minus 1 is 10. And then we just solve that. You can divide both sides by 5, and we get y is 2. So now we know one of our variables, and now we're going to kind of go back to what we already know with substitution, and we're going to put that back into either equation up here that we started with, either one of these. And I am just picking the top one. Okay, you can pick either one if one looks easier. Okay, they looked about the same, so I'm picking the top one here. All right, so here it is. I'm just going to scroll this up. There's our equation, and I put a 2 in place of the y, and we multiply, so that becomes 6. Then when we move this 6 to the other side, we have to do minus 6. So 11 minus 6 is 5. And then again, divide by 5. 5 divided by 5 is 1. Okay, so now we know our solution. We knew that y was 2, x was 1, and one solution at that point, 1, 2. Okay, and then you go ahead and check your answers. We, again, are just using those same 2 equations that we started with, and we're making sure that it works if we put 1 in place of x, right here, and 2 in place of y. Okay, it has to work, otherwise we have a problem if it doesn't work in both lines, okay, because that's what we are searching for, is the answer for both lines. Okay, so we put that in, and you can see that I went ahead and did all of that math, and we find, yes, it works for both. 11 equals 11, and then this one, 5 equals 5. So it's perfect. We found our answer. Okay, so in this one, example 4, I wanted to give you guys another example here, and I'm going to type it out for you. And for this case, we want them to cancel. So the 3x and the 2x are going to cancel if we multiply them both, one by that number and the other by this number. Only one needs to be negative. Okay, so this doesn't cancel yet, but if we multiply this by a negative 2, we're going to get a negative 6x plus 2y equals wait, I'm not multiplying it all by a negative 2. That's a little tricky. So negative 6x minus 4y equals 9 times negative 2, which is negative 18. Okay, so I have changed that color right there. And so that is this equation. I'm making this one our red equation. Okay. Then for the blue one, we're multiplying everything by 3. So 3 times 2x is going to be 6x. Then we have 3 times 6y. So that's going to be a positive 18y equals, and then 3 times 6 is 18. Okay. We are going to now put those together. So we're going to add them. And as we can see, this first part completely goes away. It goes to 0. Then we have 18, take away 4, which is 14y. And then this equals negative 18 plus 18 equals 0. Okay, so we have 0, that can be plus, 14y equals 0. So 14 times what number equals 0? 14 times 0 equals 0. So y equals 0. Okay, now that we know that y equals 0, we can put it back into any of our equations. We can go back to these original ones because they have smaller numbers than these. So let's put that y in there. So we have 3x, I'm just going to use the first one, 3x plus 2 times 0 equals 9. And then we know that that would just be 3x equals 9. 3 times what number equals 9? So x, 3 times 3 equals 9. So x equals 3. Okay. Now we can say one solution at, put our x first, 3, 0. Okay. Then we go ahead and we're going to check them. Okay. So put that back in, put these, the 3 and the 0 in. So I'm just going to check it right here. 3, let's see, 3 times 3, which we already kind of did, but 3 times 3 plus 2 times 0 equals 9, and then we know 9 equals 9. So of course it works for that first one. Now we have to make sure it works for the second one. So the 2 times x, which is 3, I'll give a little space here, plus 6 times y, which is 0, equals 6. Okay, and we make sure this works. Yep, 6 plus 0 equals 6. So that works. Okay, and then I wanted us to look at this one here. Let's see. Let's move it down. So as you can see, this one already is going to cancel nicely for us. So we are just going to go ahead and add our terms straight down. So 4 plus 3 is going to be 7x. 2 minus 2 goes to 0. Perfect. And then the last one, 14 minus 7 equals 7. So 7 times what number equals 7? 7 times 1 equals 7. So x equals 1. Or you can think of it as 7 divided by 7, if you would like. Okay, so we know that one, and just remember this part went away completely. Okay, this was a plus 0, if you would like. Okay, and now we're going to take that, put it back in just like we did with the other one, and we have 4 times 1 plus 2y. This time you want to keep the y because we want to solve for y. We already know x. Now we want to find y. And now we have 4 plus 2y equals 14. We're going to move that 4 to the other side because we don't want it over here with our 2y. We want only 2y equals, we need to do 14 minus 4. And that is going to equal 10. So 2 times what number equals 10? 2 times 5. And we know that answer. Y equals 5. Okay. Then go ahead and plug it back in to check your answers. I am almost to my 15 minutes, so I don't want to use any more of your guys' time. But for these problems, this is your homework. And then you also need to, also for your homework, make sure you are showing all of your math, just like I did. And then make sure you are showing your math as you check them. Okay, so plug them back into these equations. And then you have 2 assignments on Khan Academy. Good luck!